Hey everyone, Steve the Hurricane here. Hope you can see me. I got the webcam on today as well as the presentation so you can kind of see everything together. And I'm just really excited for this moment to be able to speak with you. I just got back from vacation. It was an amazing good time. Any of you who've been to the boot camps, you know that I talk about how I take off pretty much the entire month of August every year because of the way that I travel. You know, I have young kids, my family. I'll actually show you, this is an old photo of my family, but these are my kiddos here, my wife and I. My kids are a lot bigger than that now. So Steven in the middle is almost 8. He'll be 8 on Friday. Sydney, which is over here. This is my Sydney right here. She's 6. And then Sienna, my baby in this photo, is actually 4 years old. And we were down in Clearwater, Florida for pretty much July 30th until Sunday. And it was just absolutely amazing, and it's a good time for me to recharge the battery and focus on my family and what's important to me, but also take a look at my business without actually being in my business. Something that I recommend to every entrepreneur that you do is to get away from your business and look at it as if you didn't work there. You know, I'm a consultant, I'm a coach. I have 13 people that work for me, coaches and consultants who work for me and fulfill for our clients. Part of the reason why our clients are so successful is because we are not in our clients' businesses and we can see things that they can't because the business is running them. And so when you come back, it's just a great way to come back. And I've been taking a look at a lot of things. The Home Care Pulse report, I'm just waiting for everybody else to get back on. We have like 300 people registered for this, and so I always want to give. But for those of you who are here now, I want to give you a little bit of a heads up, some extra inside information because you showed up on time, and so I want to reward you for that. But I always use the Home Care Pulse for every single thing that I do. I'm not plugging them, but their stuff is just incredible. It really is. I mean, they survey 1,500 locations. They're endorsed by the Home Care Association of America, so that's nice. But there's an entire section on sales and marketing. Everything that I'm going to go over with you, I'm going to reference back the I'm going to reference back the proof in the pudding by using the data here from Home Care Pulse. We're going to take a look at Ingrid. We're going to take a look at what sets companies apart, what makes them grow. We're going to do that on here because when you understand the numbers, when you understand what the industry averages are, and then what the industry leaders are doing, you want to model what the leaders are doing, because if you want to be a leader, which, theoretically, like, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to own my business, I want to grow my business. I don't want to just be a home care company. I want to be the best home care company. And with being the best usually means being one of the biggest, and they kind of go hand in hand. So if I want to be the biggest, I have to do with the people who are where I want to be doing so that I can get there and eventually one day pass them. And so I'm going to talk about a bunch of stuff during this webinar, but really I want you to focus on the trends, because the trends are not good. One of the things that I'm going to go over, I'm just going to start going over it right now. It's not even on the screen here. I'm just talking to you for those of you who are listening. And by the way, before I do anything else, can you hear me? I want you to type where it says questions. In the questions section, the questions pane on the right, because we're going to do some live stuff. I'm actually going to take a volunteer. And so type in the questions. Yes, you can hear me, so I see it. Yes, yes, yes. Hi, Charlene. Hi, Renee. Hi, Tim. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Beth. Hi, Livy. Ty Simmons. Oh, my goodness. There's a name I haven't heard of in a long time. How the heck are you doing out there, buddy? Holding down the Midwest. Ty, I missed you at the boot camp. You should have been there. It was fantastic. It was fantastic, and it was a good one. It was the Millionaires Boot Camp. You would like that one. So, but anyway, what's the name of that book again? The Home Care Pulse Report. It's the benchmark study from Home Care Pulse. So then, but somebody said, what's the name of that book again? All right. So, hi, Carrie. And then, by the way, all right, so this is completely related to healthcare, but not related to the webinar today. My book is out, all right? Why We Care. It's the story of us as home care. You can get a copy of it online. All of the profits, so this is not for me, all right? This is not for me. This book, I started a nonprofit called the Institute for Dignity and Grace, all right? And the Institute for Dignity and Grace is designed to help our seniors improve the quality of their life so that they can age in place with dignity and grace. This story right here has about 26 individual situations that we all face every single day. Great marketing insights, but also just, hey, there are helpful, amazing people. This is our industry's book. And so you can go on Amazon and look up Why We Care and grab a copy of it. It's $17.99. And like I said, all the profits go to the Institute for Dignity and Grace. If you want a copy of this book and you want me to autograph it, I ask that you make a $25 donation to the Institute. You can call my office. And we can tell you how you can do a $25 donation. I'll autograph it, and then we'll mail it to you, all right? So, I just want to mention that at the beginning here while you're all on here. I'm so proud. It's a bestseller. I personally have autographed close to like 400 or 500 of these things and given them out at different events and conferences, and it's been such a blessing. And so, again, just thank you to you for being on here. You know how I am. I'm a spiritual person. I'm a leader in faith, and I give God all the glory for everything. And so it's just an honor to be able to serve you, and thank you for joining me here on this webinar live today. So one thing I want to talk about, as everybody else is jumping on to, is the Medicare Advantage plans. A lot of people are asking about it, like, oh, Medicare Advantage, this is going to be a payer source. Well, I just got back from my mastermind meeting. Part of when I go to Florida for a month, I do a little tiny bit of work, and so I have this high-end mastermind group, so some of my biggest, most successful clients, and we get together 3 times a year, and we do brainstorming, and we do a personal development day, and then we do a business development day, and then we do a fun day, and we actually went on a cruise to look at dolphins and stuff, and it was amazing on the fun day. But on the business day, one of the members of the mastermind group, Kanu Kushal, who owns a home care company that's actually listed on the Inc. 5000. So just put that in perspective, all right? Inc. 5000. We're talking about an 8-figure-a-year home care business. So when it comes to the Medicare Advantage plans, his company and companies like his size and stature, those are going to be the ones that are going to be approached first. And so as we were speaking at the mastermind meeting, he was sharing some information and some insights about how the Medicare Advantage is going to work, and some inside information to be aware of for yourself. The most important thing that he said is if anyone wants to do it, you got to know 2 things. Number 1, being a home care company where you just send somebody in and you're going to take care of them, that's not good enough. You have to accurately calculate your readmission rates. You have to understand the diagnosis that they're worried about, and what is your readmission rate for congestive heart failure? What is your readmission rate for stroke patients? What is your readmission rates for hip replacements and COPD and for urinary tract infections? What is your readmission rate per diagnosis? Like, you're going to have to go down to that specific, because this is Medicare now we're talking about. So if you want that Medicare Advantage, you're going to have to up your game seriously on the skilled side. Even though we're not skilled providers from the private duty realm, you're going to have to up your game seriously on that side of it if you want to get that reimbursement. So that's the first thing you got to realize. This is a big, being what we currently do for most agencies is not enough if that's what you want. That's the first thing. The second thing you want to realize is for Medicare Advantage, it's a payer source. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get an abundance of business, but it's a payer source. However, you are going to have to float caregiver salaries for anywhere from 90 to 180 days. So if you don't have the resources, like a lot of people, I ask people all the time, do you bill long-term care insurance, which is a great payer source? Do you bill long-term care insurance directly? Majority of private pay home care companies tell me, no, we don't. We'll assign assignment of benefits. We'll give the client pays us, and then they get reimbursed from the long-term care insurance company. And I say, why? And they say, because I don't want to float the payroll of the caregivers for 60, 90 days before I get reimbursed. Well, if you wanted a Medicare Advantage plan, it's going to be the same exact thing. So if you don't have deep pockets, meaning I have, a $2 million home care company and I'm taking care of, 60, 65 patients at home right now, I can't afford to float the caregivers that provide the care for those people for 3 months to 6 months. I can't afford that. If you can't afford that, if you can't do that, then don't even be hopeful. Don't think about the Medicare Advantage. Now, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to be forewarned, because they're talking about how they're going to start trying to do this in 2019, and this whole webinar here is designed to help prepare you at the end of 2018 to poise your business for growth in 2019, and that is an opportunity that's coming, and there hasn't been a lot of talk on it, but I'm giving you some inside information because you are here on this webinar live right now today. So there's some information. I want to make sure, these webinars, do I want you to sign up for services? Absolutely. Of course I do. But I also want to make sure I'm giving you good information that you can walk away from. So if you're like, you know what, I'm not going to do anything with Steve, it's fine, I don't care. At least you learned something you didn't know before. And if you want to get with Medicare Advantage, you got to be ready for what's coming, because it could be a big deal. But the overall consensus is don't put all your eggs in one basket, all right? So don't rely on it. If you get it, great. It's just another payer source, just like long-term care insurance, just like some of us in some states accept Medicaid, and then you have different payer sources, VA benefits, and so on and so forth. So it's just another payer source, all right? We continue to run our business as is. Don't put all of our eggs in one basket, all right? So there you have that. I wanted to touch base a little bit on the Medicare Advantage with you, and now we're going to go through. Good. And I see the majority of the attendees are logging in, and we're good here, so I'm going to go ahead and start the actual webinar now. But I hope you can see me, and I hope you're getting some good information out of that. Did that help? Was that helpful, folks? Yes? You can type that in there? No, it was the worst thing I've ever done. I'm sorry I wasted your time for 5 minutes there. Hi, Libby. Yes, it was good for you, Libby. I'm glad. Thank you. You can type yes in the questions there. I'd appreciate that. As a speaker, we're very insecure, right? So absolutely. Oh, Charlene, you're wonderful. Yes, Elaine, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Good. Tracy, awesome. I love it. Edric, great. Amanda, welcome, 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 welcome. All right, so let's jump into this, shall we? So here we go, all right? So you know my company, Hurricane Marketing Enterprises, blah, 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 blah. This is the public webinar, and it's reverse the trend, get your profits back. The reason why I said this is a photo from the last boot camp that I had in St. Louis, but the reason why I wanted to make this out there is because a lot of people are not aware of the decline in revenue. All right, and so, it's something that's really, really important. And by the way, I just want to throw this out there to you. My boot camps, I have another one coming up in November. You can write the dates down now if you want. It's November 8th and 9th. It's a 2-day event, so I could lower the cost a little bit. I know the boot camp tickets are normally $1,000. The reason why they're $1,000, so you understand, is the event cost me $50,000 to do the event. So I have to basically take the revenue that comes in from the ticket sales between early bird and discounts or group purchases or whatever, and that covers the cost of the event. So so this one, because it's a 2-day event, it's only $699 as the full price, and it's all focused on scaling and growing your home care business for 2019. So that's coming up. Tampa, Florida is beautiful. I just spent, like I said, Clearwater, which is the beach area of Tampa. I just spent a month there. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I saw the venue. You're going to love it, folks. So sign up and come to the boot camp. But for this particular webinar here, I'm going to go through some opening comments for those of you who don't know who I am or know about where my experience comes from. I'm going to go through the current trends of the market because it's shocking and it's not. It's gloom. It is gloom and doom. Like I talked about the Home Care Pulse. Thank you, Home Care Pulse, for showing us this, because if we don't prepare and we don't do things right, a lot of us will go out of business, and so that's why this is such an important webinar for you to be on live. For all of you who are live, right, for one lucky person, you're very welcome, Penny. I see that come up. For one lucky person, when I say go, I'm going to actually go over how to calculate the price that you should be charging for your business live right here on the webinar. So that's going to be fun. Then I'm going to go over handling the phone call that comes in, and how we properly have to handle that phone call so that we're not missing opportunity, because we're bleeding. We're bleeding everywhere, right? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about closing the sale and how we need to have a process that everybody knows how to do it so that it helps us to convert our organization. And then I'm going to go through the conclusion. And So that's kind of the flow of what I'm going to go through with the webinar. And again, you see, thank you, Home Care Pulse. I really, these webinars are so much more powerful when I can talk about the things that I know and the things that my clients are doing, but back it up by saying, look, this is what the industry is saying as well. These are what the top 20% of our industry is doing, and if I want to be in there, I have to do what they're doing. So logically, it makes sense. And so for those of you who have no idea who I am, there's 100+ people on the webinar right now. Some of you may not know, I owned a private duty home care company. In 2005, I came on as the director of business development for a small company that was doing, 600, 700 weekly billable hours. From 2005 August to May of 2009, I grew that company to over 5,000 weekly billable hours. We're talking about $5+ million in revenue, billing out $100,000 a week, all private pay. And in 2009, I became the vice president, part owner of that company. 2011, we sold that company for several $1 million. I got my cut. The person who was the big owner, he got the bigger cut. But it was great because it allowed me to start what I do, Hurricane Marketing Enterprises. And that started and was founded in 2012, and we've been going strong ever since. This is our 7th year in operation. Our anniversary was back in June, 2 months ago, and it's just been a blessing to be able to serve so many people, because now, instead of me talking about this is what I did in my company, I can say this is what I did in my company, and this is what I'm doing in the 400+ companies I'm working with in the United States and around the world. We're actually in 6 different countries now doing this: United Kingdom, Mexico, Canada. We have somebody in Ghana, Africa. We're in the land down under in Australia and in Brazil. So it's just a blessing. And every single day we get new inquiries. I'm pretty sure India and China are coming soon. Last year, I actually was offered to speak at a conference in China, and the logistics didn't work out. So I can't wait to get to Beijing and speak over there. So I know what I'm talking about. This is my baby. I love it. And I've helped enough people to know that if you do the things that I'm saying here, you'll be successful. If you don't, God bless you and good luck, right? And so you see the books that I've written and, videos online and so on and so forth. So it's a blessing and to be able to do what I do every single day, and I thank you for watching and listening. So let me tell you a little about my story, and not so much about my home care story because I kind of shared that already, but my business story with Hurricane Marketing Enterprises, because I like to share this with people. A lot of people only know this when I come to the boot camp, but when I first started the company in 2012, 2012 to 2014, I had resources. I was kind of high and mighty. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing, and I had a certain lifestyle, so I was overspending in the business. I was overspending, and things weren't going the way that I had wanted them to go. And a personal moment for me was when I basically just fell on my knees and surrendered to the Almighty and said, I can't do this anymore. This is your business. If you want me to have it, I need a miracle. And if not, then you got to tell me what I'm supposed to do, because I just can't do this anymore. And I share this story with you, and I get emotional when I talk about it, because I remember that day, because I got a miracle that later on that day we brought in half the revenue we did the month before. The next day we matched that, and so in 2 days we brought in all the revenue we did in the month before. And then fast forward, that was our best month ever up until that point. And so I give glory to God for that, because it was a miracle. But the reason why I share that story is because I know that there's a lot of people out there who are struggling right now. I know that there are a lot of people out there who worry about covering payroll, who are thinking, I don't know if I can do this anymore, or I'm still working a full-time job and I'm trying to get my business going. When is this going to happen? When am I going to get my break? When is something positive going to happen? And so I got a miracle, but then after that miracle, I'll say another miracle was a client of mine who loved me and trusted me, went to an event geared for speakers, which is what I do, and told me about the speaking empire and how to run a business where you speak and you're a consultant, which is exactly what I am. And then I invested over the course of 2014, 15, and 16, I invested $100,000. Now, it wasn't $100,000 right up front. It was $10,000, then $30,000, and then $60,000 the next year in scaling and growing and learning all of the intricacies about my business, which is now a speaking consulting business, to be able to scale and grow. And from that $100,000 investment, and I share this with you because it makes sense, from that $100,000 investment, I've generated over $7.5 million, right? So was that $100,000 invested wisely? Absolutely. And so the same thing for you. Right now, you're sitting here, you're hearing this story. You can probably relate to a lot of the things. What can I do? Because it's always a good idea to invest in yourself, right? It's always a good, like, what is your best asset? Not my house, not my car, not even my business. I am my best asset, because the better I am, my ability to make money, my ability to provide for my household, provide for my family, to be able to live my life the way I want to, I am my best resource. So I take care of myself physically. I go to the gym. I work out every single day. My body fat is like 17%, and I take care of my business, and I learn how to get better at running my business, because when I invest in myself, this $100,000 gave me multiple seven-figure return on investment. And so the same thing happens to you, and it happens for all of my clients as well. So take a look in yourself. What can I do to invest in myself that will help me improve my organization and the situation that I'm currently facing right now? Because we all can improve, all right? And so this is why I'm saying this as well, because this is the trend, right? This is the trend. In 2014, your return on investment, meaning if you signed on a client, your return on investment was about $11,500 per client, meaning I sign on a client, the amount of revenue that I bill that client, some more, some less, but over the course of the year, averaged out $11,500. Now, notice here, and this is why I love Home Care Pulse, because Home Care Pulse specializes in this, and they show us, the leaders here. The leaders represent the people in yellow. This, at the time in 2014, the leaders are people basically doing $2.5 million and beyond. That's the top 20% of the home care industry. So if you look at the leaders, they're the ones driving this average up. The leaders are the ones that have the better processes. They're charging the right amount. They have minimums. They have inquiries and everything. They have referral sources referring them regularly. Those are the things that the leaders are doing. That's why they're more successful, and that's why their clients are worth more to their organization than somebody who's lower, because they haven't figured it out yet. So, again, as I'm thinking, right, invest in myself, right? I am my best resource. Then I want to think about investing in my business. How can I get everything that I need to do what the leaders are doing so I can have the results that the leaders are having? It takes money to make money. What should I invest in, right? Look at the next one, 2015. The leaders dropped significantly, but the people in the middle of the pack went up significantly as well. And so the average financial lifetime value of a client was $11,000. Let's go to 2016. The leaders rebounded. Theirs was almost worth $17,000, and the leaders also increased. You notice that? So it kind of makes sense. The industry started to change. There's more home care companies now than there were 3-4 years ago. So as a result, the top 20% has also increased, and then also return on investment pricing has had to increase. So a leader could have been a leader in 2015 with 60 clients, and that's where they got their $2.5 million. But then all of a sudden in 2016, they finally raised their rates, and they still take care of 60 clients. But with the rates going up, now the $2.5 million business is a $2.8 million business. You follow me on that? So it makes sense. But even still, the financial lifetime value of a client on average is $11,000 in 2016. Now that's not bad. It went down from $11,500 to $11,000 almost 2 years straight. But this is where I got the, oh my goodness, like mouth hung open when I go to 2017, which is the Home Care Pulse report, right? Look at this. This is significant, all right? It went from $11,000 to $8,000. That's a $3,000 drop in the average, right? A $3,000 drop in the average. Like, I'm just going to show you a cool photo here, right? If you do your numbers, 3,000 drop. Even the leaders went from $17,000 to $12,000. It's a $5,000 hit that their client return dropped. That's significant. That's huge. You're losing 25%. Think about how much it costs you to get caregivers. It's hard to get caregivers, right? That's the number one complaint that people have. I can't get caregivers, right? I can't get caregivers, they can't get patients. It's like, this is a tough business, right? It costs you more to get caregivers now than it ever did. The median cost of getting a client is greater now than it ever was. And so it costs more to get clients, costs more to get caregivers, and my return is 25% less than it was years ago. Yeah, mouths should be hung open on that. And I see a couple questions here. Greg Banks, I can't stay audio cutting out. That's right. Are we supposed to be seeing something? You don't see my computer, everybody? You all see my computer? Oh, my gosh, you guys missed everything. I wish somebody had told me that before. All right, well, now you see my computer, right? So let me go back. All right, so you see this right here? This is the leaders I was talking about. The average was 11,000. You were just looking at me. I love you, beautiful people. You guys are so great. Mwah, I love you, right? So 2014, the average was $11,500, as you heard me say. 2015, the average was still 11,000, but a little bit less. 2016, it was $11,000, but still on the slow decline. All right. Then, boom, last year it went down significantly to $8,000. All right. So the year before, the people in the middle were $11,000, $10,000. The leaders were almost $17,000. A year later, the people in the middle are $7,500, down from $11,000, and the leaders were at 17. They're at 12. So they dropped significantly, $5,000 return per client. That's staggering. That hurts. All right, that's a big feel. That's a 25% loss per client. So here it costs me more money to get clients. It costs me more money to get caregivers. I'm paying caregivers more, but my return on investment is 25% less. Like when you think about it, because the average, and I can look in the home care polls here, you can take a look at it yourself, and you can see I don't have this in here, this actual chart. The turnover ratio, the lifetime value of a client. You know what? You're on this live. I'm going to go off the cuff here. I don't care. You stay with me as long as you can. It's being recorded, but I'm going to give you some live stuff. I'm going to just jump off the webinar, okay? So the webinar is still going, but I'm going to end the show for a second. I'm going to come back. So I'm going to show you this. You're welcome, all right? You are on this webinar. I love you guys. I'm going to give you some extra stuff here. So this is my computer, 2018 home care pulse graphs, right? Lifetime value of a client, as I just showed you before, is right here. Let's just stay with the leaders. Forget what everybody else is doing. Your business, you may not be a leader. If you're on this webinar, you're probably not doing $3 million a year. You're probably doing less than that, right? So your revenue is here. But the people who are doing the kind of revenue that we want to do, their clients are worth this, right? Now, just take a look at what the caregivers, the revenue that a caregiver brings in. So the average caregiver for a leader brings in $16,000, all right? For everybody in the middle, it's around $11,000, which basically means you basically have like one client to one caregiver. Maybe if you're lucky, two clients to one caregiver. You follow me? Because the revenue that a caregiver brings in is almost the same as the revenue a client brings in, which means that every time you replace a client, you have to replace your caregiver, right? And so that's a challenge. That's a problem that we keep seeing, and that's an issue, all right? So you have to be careful with that. You have to watch that because it is a very, very big problem, and we don't want that to happen. But this is something that I'm bringing to your attention now. We need processes for this, all right? So let me go back to the webinar itself and start from the current slide, and I want you to see this setting of it, swap the two, bada bing, bada boom, all right? Boot camp, great. So let's talk about pricing for a second here, all right? Are you charging the right amount of money for your business? I'm going to say you're probably not. The average agency out there, coast to coast, is charging around $22 an hour. That's the average agency. Now, some people are charging a lot more. Some people are charging a lot less. But when I do my own audit, internal investigation of all of the clients that we're servicing around the world, I find that most of my clients, when they first start with us, are not charging the right amount. We're undercharging. So forget the return on investment for a second. When it comes to charging, when it comes to pricing the right amount, you have to realize it from this perspective. If you're on an airplane, like I'm just going to ask somebody right now, like somebody who's on here with me, because there's a lot of us here, right? So Dave, right? Dave, you're on here. I see your name. So if you are on an airplane And while being on that airplane, the oxygen masks were to drop down, and there's a child sitting next to you, and they say to you, you know, there's oxygen mask. What did they tell you to do? Do you put the oxygen mask on the child first and then put it on yourself, or do you put it on yourself and then the child? What do you do, David? Go ahead, tell me. I'm waiting for you. Adult first, correct, Kelly. That is right. Why do you put the oxygen mask on the adult first? Well, because if I put it on myself, I'm okay, and then I can help the child. If I try to put it on the child, I might pass out in the process, which means the kid doesn't get help, I don't get help, and we both lose. So you have to think about this, because I know a lot of people are gun shy when it comes to raising your rates or charging the correct amount. I have a bleeding heart. I love everybody, and I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying it is what it is, because I feel the same way. I love everybody, all right? But when I had my business, my home care business, we were always on the higher side of average. We weren't average, we weren't high, but we were the higher side of average. So when the average was 21, we were 22, 22.50, right? So if the average is 19, you should be 20. If the average in your area is 25, you should be 26. You should be slightly above the average price. Why? Well, you know, if your client if there's an issue at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to answer that phone. You're going to do everything you can to staff it appropriately. Some of us are willing to go out and actually do the work ourselves to help our patients because we love our patients, because that's the fulfillment of what we contracted with every single person out there. So it's super, super important. If you're going to do that, then you have to take care of the business, because if you don't, and you go out of business and you're taking care of 30 people, but you're undercharging for the services, which means that you're slowly going out of business, and then you go out of business, everybody, you and the 30 people you're providing care for, all lose. I would rather lose somebody to price but keep the business going than to undercharge and not charge the right amount for services. So, you know, and everybody understands that. I would help the child. All right, Kelly. Well, I love you very much, and I wish you well. That if you help the child first, you have to help yourself and then help the child. All right, that's the right answer. Okay. So, anyway, so now here's what I'm going to do. I need a volunteer. First person to say me, when you type it in, I'm going to do your price comparison right now. So, guys, type it in. All right, Tim Ingram. I have no idea where you are, Tim. All right, so Tim, do me a favor. I want you to type in here now. All right. Or actually, you know what, Tim? Are you on a phone? If I unmute you, I should be able to hear you, right? So let's see. All right. So let's find Tim. Wow, there's a lot of us on here. Good. I'm glad that everybody's on here live and you're all paying attention too, which is even better. So Tim. A lot of Sharons. Wow, there's like 5 different Sharons on here. It's craziness. All right, Tim. Can you hear me, Tim?
Yes, I can.
All right, we got you live. Hey, Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. So here's what I'm going to do while we're all live and everybody's listening to this. I'm going to show you, here's how to do it. You go to your website, all right? This is where a great way to find out what things cost, all right? So where are you located, Tim?
In the Los Angeles area.
So California. So I'm just going to say this right now. I don't know if you're a person of faith or not, but I'm just going to say God bless you, because you are in California, and California is the hardest state to have a home care business. It is the worst state to have a home care business because it's over-regulated. You have to deal with more compliance issues than any other of the 50 states in the United States, 49 others, and you know, open up a pizzeria, sell your home care business, right? So
yeah, it's rough.
You have a lot of challenges. So may I ask you, Los Angeles area, which is fine, I can pull that up. What is your hourly rate?
$24.
$24 an hour, all right? So now looking at this is the monthly cost. The way they do this, this is Genworth Financial for every single person. You can just you see genworth.com, all right? That's the website for everybody else who is muted right now. This is where I'm getting it. Genworth Financial is one of the largest providers of long-term care insurance in the United States, all right? Now, Tim, you just told me that your rate is $24 an hour, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now you see this is what the average cost is, 2017 for a home health aide, all right, going out, and it's $150. Now, based on their metrics, which I'm not going to get into now, actually, if I can click it right here, based on their metrics that they have, and they explain it, the metrics here, that they consider the $150 as 6 hours of care. So for everybody watching this right now, I'm going to pull up my calculator on the screen so we can all see it. All right, so here it is, $150, which actually worked out to be super easy math here, divided by 6 hours. The average rate in your area is $25 an hour. So right now you're $1 below the average, and what I would recommend if you were my client is that you charge $26, which means that if you had, say, 1,000 weekly billable hours right now, just showing you some math here, Tim, 1,000 weekly billable hours times $2 an hour more because you're undercharging. This is what you should be charging $26 an hour. That would give you $2,000 straight profit to your bottom line every single week. Every single week. I have a client in my mastermind group who I won't say her name, but she's down in Georgia, and she's got 5,000 weekly billable hours. And when I did this with her and I got her to increase her rates, she did not lose a single customer. Now, 5,000 hours, all right? Think about that, all right? 5,000 hours, all right? She is billing $2 an hour less than what she should. I got her to raise her rates. That's an automatic $10,000 a week profit to the bottom line. Because she's saying to herself, I'm billing on 5,000 hours. I got this giant business, but I have no profit. I said, yeah, because regulations, compliance, your office staff, your caregiver's payroll, all the liability insurance, everything else you have to deal with eats your profit. So yeah, you're a $5,000 hour a week business, or in this case here with the example I'm showing you, I'm assuming you're 1,000 hours a week. I don't want to get too much publicly with you, Tim, here. But if you're 1,000 hours a week, but with being $24 an hour, with all the things you have to deal with, you're not making the kind of revenue you need to be making for long-term business growth. So that's why I say at least do the average for your area, which is $25 an hour. But I really recommend going to 26 and be $1 over. And when you have a closing process and an inquiry management process, that will help you to help convert those clients and you deliver properly. So I'm going to stay with you on the phone here. I'm going to go back to the webinar, but everybody can see that. I just, for Tim, if Tim sends out a letter to everybody and raises the rates $2 an hour, he will probably lose one client, but keep all the rest. But he will add, if he's at 1,000 hours, he'll add $2,000 a week, which is $52,000. I'm sorry, $100,000 profit to his bottom line at the end of the year, which will definitely help weather the storm of dealing with the things you have to deal with in California. So everybody saw how I did that. That's how you calculate your price, and that's what your price should be. And I asked for a volunteer for a reason, because I know how this goes. I had a feeling that you were undercharging. Most people are undercharging for their business. And so, Tim, that's some information to you. Now, a question I'm going to ask you, Tim, as I go back to the presentation here. Do you have a minimum for your account? Like a minimum, meaning like a weekly minimum, an hourly minimum that you do for a shift?
We don't have a weekly minimum. We try to maintain a 4-hour minimum for those who give a lot of pushback. We go down to 3, but that would be our absolute lowest.
Okay. So this is something that, again, most people have in common. Most people don't have a minimum. They try to stay to something or whatever, but most people don't have a minimum number of hours a week. Some have a minimum hour per day, and you have the 4 hours is your minimum per day. You try to stick to it. You may bend the rules for somebody 3 hours, and I recommend that. 4 hours is what I would say the daily minimum is. Now, I don't have time to get into everything because I'm actually way over time here, and there's a lot of things I have to get into. But I recommend every single home care company, unless you're brand spanking new, and even still, to set the precedence, you have a 20-hour-a-week minimum. Why? When it comes to getting caregivers, the biggest challenge that we have is keeping them. Like our caregiver challenge is an issue as an industry as a whole, getting enough caregivers. But most people don't realize the attrition rate, and I'll show you the attrition rate too. Let me pull this back up. You know what? Because we're all on here together. You're on live. You're on the phone with me. I'm going to show you the caregiver turnover rate. I don't have the one for 2018, but I'll go back to the one for 2017 because I have everything from home. This is Home Care Pulse. All right. So this is Home Care Pulse. All right. Don't take my word for anything. I'm a scam artist. Remember that. All right, so Home Care Pulse report. Our turnover rate as an industry is 2/3, which means that Tim, you, and everybody else who's on this webinar with us right now, you hire 3 caregivers, 2 will leave you before the end of the year. That's abysmal. That's abysmal. The reason why it's so bad is because caregivers want work. We're trying to give caregivers 40 hours of work. So how do we fill that if we're doing a 4-hour-a-day minimum, and that's the minimum that we do? Well, I got this client here. Like, let me see. I have some stuff. This is from the last boot camp in St. Louis. Let me show you something. I'm gonna give you guys some real good stuff here. This is why you come to boot camps, right? Nope, that's not the presentation. Here it is, right here. Morning session, day 1, right? I'm gonna show you something. You guys are gonna all love this, all right? And you're very welcome. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, and so this is the way we set up a caregiver schedule, right? You see this on the screen, everybody? So you see, this is Tim. He's my caregiver. And to give Tim 40 hours, if he works Monday through Friday only, I have to find a perfect storm of 5 or 6 different clients to get him 40 hours, which means that, can you give me an idea? I can't get into that right now, Deborah. Which basically means that I have to give him 4 or 5 clients to fill a 40-hour schedule. Now, when Tim comes in and fills out an application, do I have all 5 of these clients ready to go for him? And Tim, you know the answer. It's no, you don't. And so what ends up happening is I'm going to give you like Bob, who's 3 days a week. Then 2 weeks later, I get Tony. Then 2 weeks later, I get Jill. And then 2 weeks later, I get Kelly. And then a week after that, I get Robin, right? And so it could take me a month to fill you, which means that you're really not working for me. You're really not happy. And then all of a sudden, a skilled nursing facility or a hospital or an assisted living calls you back and says, hey, we got an opening for you, 40 hours. You come here and that's it. You're going to quit me and drop me like a bad habit and go work for somebody else. That's what is happening all across the industry. Now, here's why I recommend, and here's the other reason. From a scheduling standpoint, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. You're trying to fill the impossible. Every single one of us agency owners, we're trying to fill the obstacle. Libby, you even said, oh, my God, yes, this is my nightmare challenge, right? This is the problem, folks. This is why we can't keep caregivers. And logically, this makes sense. So right now, with a 4-hour minimum, do you realize, Tim, and every single person live right now with me, do you realize that you have 168 possible shifts to fill? There are 168 possible shifts because you can start at any hour. Whereas, here's what I recommend. This is what most of the leaders do. This is what I get my mastermind and my top high-end clients who are paying me tens of thousands of dollars for resources. I get them to do it, and I help them with this. I get them to make a 20-hour minimum. So now if you have a 20-hour minimum, yes, you won't get the bath visit twice a week and all that. And I'll get to that in a second. But now I only have to get 2 clients to fill you 40 hours, Tim. That's a lot easier. And now once you have 40 hours, you're happy. You're not looking for work anymore because most caregivers are living paycheck to paycheck. Let's be real. It is expensive to live here, in this world, right? I have like all these credit cards and stuff, and they're all, I spend money like it's water, I went through my credit card statement, right? I went through my credit card statement. Look at these charges. What? I spend like $25,000 a month. And stuff, and that's just one credit card. It's staggering how much it costs. I don't know how anybody lives on $9 an hour in some states, or in California, you're $15 an hour. Great, $15 an hour in Los Angeles. That's nothing. That's not a good living, right? So that's what caregivers make. But if I can at least give them 40 hours of work, and I can do it quickly and easily, that makes my life easier. Also, when you do a 20-hour minimum, instead of having 168 possible shifts to staff, you now only have like 18 possible shifts that you could staff because those are how you're fitting people in. You're either doing 20 hours, 40 hours, 56 hours, 184 hours, which is 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, or 168 hours, or some combination of those type of clients. So it logically makes sense. We need to have minimums. This is something that, again, I went over at the last boot camp on how to do all of that. This is why you need to come to the boot camp. So let me go back to that. And so now, Tim, you answered no to both of those questions. Is this valuable to you right now today, hearing all of this?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. And so now the last thing is, if anybody answered no to either of those questions, you're probably in the category of people losing revenue right now. And so, Tim, thank you so much for being my volunteer. Everybody, can you clap and applaud and give it up for Tim? We love Tim. He's a great dude, and thank you for being my volunteer today, Tim. All right, you're very welcome. My friend, I'm gonna mute you now. All right, take care. All right, so Tim is back muted, but that makes a lot of sense. If you are in this category and you answered no, I don't have a minimum, or no, I am not charging, I don't know, I'm not charging the right amount, I'm not charging $1 over the average for my area. If you answered no, you're in this 25% losing, and that's why you need to come to the boot camp, all right? Because at the boot camp, I have an hour with you now. The boot camp, I have 2 days with you to go over all of this stuff on how to do it, right? Investing in yourself, $700, that's a great price to learn how to do all of this stuff, all right? So I expect to see all of you on November 8th and 9th at the boot camp. Next topic, answering the call. My question to all of you is, do you have a process? Do you have an inquiry management process? Now, some of us do. If you're part of a franchise, like Right at Home, or Home Instead, or a corporate franchise group like Interim or Maxim, you probably have a inquiry management process. Are you using it? Because a lot of people aren't using it. Too many people aren't using it. Do you have a weekly prospect call sheet that people have to fill out if there's an incoming prospect? Most people do not. I remember when I was at Care Choice, which was the name of my company, when I came on in 2005, I said, how do we take a call? And you know what they did? They took a blank sheet of paper like this, and they just asked questions and filled out information and set up information. And do you know what our conversion ratio was when I first came on? 16%. In the last 12 months before I came on, we converted 16% of the phone calls into clients, which I said is abysmal, and it is. It is abysmal, 16%. And the first thing I did was I created a call sheet. And so this was my incoming prospect call sheet. Brian was the owner. I was the director of business development at the time, and this was the one that I created. This is the one that I give to all of my clients. Remember how I told you the average rate was $21 an hour? And you see right here, what was our average rate? $22.50. We were $1 an hour over the industry average at the time for what we were charging. And these were all the things we had to do. And there's a process around this. So here's what I'm going to do for every single one of you. Whether you have a process, if you answered yes to the question, great, you have a process. Do you use it? If you do, great. If you don't, or if you want, like, how many of you would want this inquiry sheet? Let me raise your hand. Go ahead. Type yes. Yes, 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 yes. Do you want this? Will you share this with me? Yes, yes, yes. Also, a lot of you, I had 25 yeses so far, and there's more yeses coming in. So do you want this sheet? Here's my thank you to you for being live, because people who are going to watch the recording later, they're not going to be able to call in if we're closed or something, right? Write down my phone number. Write down this phone number right now. Do not call my office. If I hear my phone ring, I'm gonna call you out and be like, what are you doing calling right now? You pay attention. I'm talking, right? Write down this phone number. As soon as we're finished, call my office and say, I would like to get a copy of that, and then they got to get your information so we can send it to you, and we'll get that out to you today, okay? So that's my thank you to you. We're going to give you our inquiry sheets. You can have something to model it after as my thank you, because I know if you have that sheet alone is a process around it. Now, with that, you should also be role-playing with your staff. Yes, he called me afterwards, all right? Don't be wasting my time now. I'm on this with you, all right? Call afterwards. Write down that phone number, 848-444-9865. We have like 5 or 6 rollover lines, so we should be able to get everybody in within like 30 minutes of the webinar ending. There's 100 and something people on here, but we should be able to do that. So just make sure you call afterwards, because once we go home, that's it. Get it today. Do not hang up this webinar at the end and just hang up. Get your free gift. That's my thank you to being on this webinar, right? So now, is everybody trained on your process? This is a very important question because I find too many people have a process, but not everybody knows it. And how often are you doing your training on this process? Because you know how often you should do it? You should secret shop your own organization. Do you secret shop your organization? You know, we secret shop our clients. We do that as part of our services for people because we know if you're answering the phone correctly. And when I call your offices, you'd be appalled by the responses that I get when I call people's offices. I call people's offices all the time because people call me all the time, or whether they're clients or inquiries or whatever, and I call back. I'm like, hey, I'm Steve the Hurricane. I'm calling for so-and-so. Huh? What? Who? Huh? It's craziness. But the way people are answering the phone, that's your first impression of your company, the person answering the phone. If any of us, I always love to talk about the time when my kids broke the bathtub and it was leaking into my kitchen. I always share this story at the boot camp. I'm not going to get into full details, but you know, when I called the plumber, I called two companies. The first company I called, a lady answered the phone, wasn't really prepared, couldn't answer my questions, whatever, so I hung up the phone with her, and then I called another company. That person was ready. She did answer the phone correctly. She took my information, found out what was wrong, had details about scheduling an appointment, and made an appointment. Within an hour, somebody showed up at my house, and then I got the details to fix the tub, right? So the person who got the business was the person who was prepared for it, right? You ever hear the saying, luck favors the prepared? If you work hard enough to get clients, I'm going to share at the end a stat here on how much it costs to get a client and how much you're paying for it. If you're going to spend all this money, you got to make sure you're capitalizing on it, all right? So if you don't have an inquiry management process, get one. If you do, make sure everyone is trained on it and secret shop your organization on a regular, consistent basis, all right? And I see all of your hands going up here. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I love you all. Yes, yes, yes. I love you all. We're good, all right? Next question. Are you tracking every inquiry? Now, this one, I am sad to point out most people don't. Once again, most people don't. But don't take my word for it because I'm a scam artist. I don't know what I'm talking about, right? No. Listen to what the industry averages. Look at this. The companies that actually track their inquiries do 30 to 33% better. That's what this number is, right? 30 to 33% more revenue than the ones that don't. 30 to 33% more revenue. That is significant. Think about whatever you did last year. You know, Tim, I don't know you. You did $500,000 last year, right? 33% more would have been $160,000 more. That would have been $660,000, $670,000, not $500,000. If you did $1 million, that would be $1.3 million you could have done last year if you were tracking every inquiry. If you did $2 million, that could have been $2.6 million. You'd almost be an industry leader if you tracked every single inquiry. So if you're not tracking your inquiries, if you don't have an inquiry management process, if everybody's not trained and properly executing, meaning we're secret shopping, and I know I'm pointing this out, and people are like, man, how does he know? How does he know? Because this is what I do for a living. This is why I help people, right? If you answered no to any one of those questions, you're in the people losing 25%. That means that you're losing 25% of the revenue you could be getting. I'm not even talking about referral generation right now. I'm talking about with the referrals that you already have coming in, but your processes are out of whack. If you answered no to any of the 6 questions I've asked you so far, you are in the 25% losing, or you're losing, not in the 25%, you're losing 25% return on investment that you could be getting just by tightening up your operation with a couple of things that I'm talking about right here. And that's, again, the focus of the boot camp. That's why I want to see you at the boot camp. If you think you're following me right now, you know I want you to come to this boot camp, right? I'm giving you a lot of good stuff, but wait till you come to the boot camp, all right? Next, closing. This is my favorite because I know the answer already is no, but do you have a closing process? Like, do you actually have a closing process? What do I mean by a closing process? Like, meaning I walk into the house, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do immediately upon getting there, I have some kind of formal presentation that I can sit down and go page by page or automate it and go slide by slide on how to, discuss our services, showing credentials, price comparison, filling out an inquiry form, and asking for the business, and then setting up a schedule, not that the client is asking for, but as the expert in the industry, the client actually needs. Because remember how I said before about minimums? And I know the answer is no. You're just go ahead and answer no. You're coming to the boot camp. I'll see you in 2 months, right? 3 months. So do you have a closing process? Most of us don't, right? Think about it this way, all right? If a client calls in, and a client says, I want a bath visit 2 days a week, and this is why a 20-hour minimum is necessary. You need a closing process to sell a 20-hour minimum. Somebody needs a bath visit, and they want it just 2 days a week. By the nature of what we do in home care, a bath is a pretty easy thing to do for yourself. Like I took a shower this morning, when I left the gym. Most of us took a shower today. Some of us take showers the night before. And if you haven't had a shower in the last 24 hours, either you're working too hard or you need to change your hygiene habits, right? So I'm kidding. But, no, I'm not. But so a shower is a pretty easy thing to take. If somebody can't take a shower, what else are they not able to do? Are you sending somebody in to put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound? Because that's what you're doing. Are you preventing hospitalizations by what you're doing by giving somebody 2 days a week for a bath visit? No, you're not. Your goal as a home care provider, my goal, I'm the expert, right? I'm going to go back to that kids flooding my kitchen with breaking the tub upstairs in the bathroom, right? Because when the person came in, the tub was cracked. And they said, if you want to repair the tub, which is like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, they said you can go to Home Depot, you can get porcelain crack repair, and you can do it yourself. We're not going to fix it because it will break again, it will leak, and you'll still have a problem. And I'm not going to fix your ceiling because it's going to happen again because you have kids, the tub is cracked, whatever. The correct course of action here is to replace the tub. Now, fixing the tub would be like $200. Replacing the tub, that's like $2,000. We're talking 10 times the investment. But guess what I ended up doing? If they're going to fix the ceiling because it's leaking, I had to fix the ceiling too. It means they're going to fix the floor underneath it, and they got to replace the tub. That $2,000 was the correct thing to do. So now the same thing here. Someone needs help with a bath 2 days a week. What else do they need help with? Probably meal preparation, light housekeeping, running errands, getting the doctor's appointments, maybe medication management, which are all the things that our caregivers can do, no matter what kind of business we have. So if somebody asks for a bath visit, that's a 20-hour-a-week client. Because if they can't take a bath, they need help. And our goal comes in with our closing process. We have to have a process. We explain, Mrs. Smith, my objective is to keep you home. My objective is to keep you so you could age in place with dignity and grace. It's the whole reason why I called my nonprofit the Institute for Dignity and Grace. So you don't end up in the hospital and hurt yourself unnecessarily because of something that happens. I've seen it happen all too often. I would rather, and this is when you have a closing process, you can do this because you're confident in what you're saying because the process does the sale for you, and then you just be the caring individuals that you are. All right? So you just sit down and you say, I would rather you go with someone else and not be under my care than not get the care that you need to stay home because I care about you too much. And you know what happens? Because I did this. I'm the one who came up with the 20-hour minimum when I had so I sat down hundreds of times with patients who wanted like 8 hours or 12 hours and got them to do 20 hours. And guess what? They didn't go to the hospital. We had the lowest readmission rate on the planet, right? It was like 1%. And we were caring for, at any given time, 100 plus patients because we set them up for success. We're not putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. We're actually treating the bullet wound the way that it is. And so that is super important. You've got to have a closing process. Look at this, right? The cost of getting a client is going up every single year. Every year. 5 years ago, it was under $500. Now it's almost $600. This is straight from Home Care Pulse. So it's cost. If to get that client, if you can cut that in half. If you have a closing process, you'll convert better, which will make your cost of acquiring a client less. less is more. It will save you more money because you'll convert at a higher percentage. All right? Last question I'm going to ask you, is everyone trained on your closing process? Oh, no, there's actually one more question. But is everyone trained on your closing process? And I know the answer is no. If you answered yes to every single question I asked you, this is the one I know you answered no to. Because every agency owner I speak to feels that they're the only person who can close a client. Or they have them and a marketing person, or them and a nurse, and those are the only two people that go out and close clients. Well, when you're a leader, when you're like my friend Canoe with a 8-figure home care business, when you're like me, my $5 million a year all private pay home care business, everybody's trained on it because you have so many inquiries coming in that you can't be everywhere. And you need to have, and write this down, folks. I'm giving you, this is information galore. This is a free webinar. I should charge you for this, right? But I'm not. You need to have a 1-hour turnaround time. Think about that story I told you with the plumber, right? If any of us have a leak in our house, you want that plumber to come out immediately, right? You need to have a 1-hour turnaround time, meaning if somebody calls you, you drop whatever you have and you get out there and you see that patient right away. That's how you sign them up quickly. High urgency, they're going with the first available company. That needs to be you. But if you're off doing something else, or you're on vacation, I was talking to a client today. I just told you at the beginning. For those of you who were on from the beginning, because half of us weren't yet, I just talked about how I came back from vacation. I was gone for a month. A month away from my business. Most of us, if we left our business for a month, we would just go under. We would have no new sales, nothing, because we don't have processes in place to sign on new clients because everybody else can't do it. Most people freak out when I say, how do you go away? I would love to go away for a month. You can. Brian, who owned CareChoice, he was the big owner. I became his vice president and partner. But the original owner, when his wife got sick and he had to go take care of her, he was out of commission for like 3 months. For 3 months. He came in maybe once in a while, and the entire business continued to run and generated that kind of revenue without his presence because the processes were put in place. That's what you got to have. We're missing the processes. And the last question I'm going to ask you are you tracking your inquiries? And are you tracking it from inquiry, phone call, all the way through admissions? Most people aren't. When you look at your conversion ratio, that's what this is, right here at the bottom. Inquiry to admission, meaning the phone call to start of care. If you're an industry leader, you should be doing 40%. That means for every 5 inquiries, 2 people sign up for services. Every 5 inquiries, 2 people sign up for services. If you're not doing 40% or better, you have a problem with your inquiry management and your closing process, and you fall into the category of people who are losing 25% return on investment. I didn't talk today. I had to talk about these trends with you because these are questions, and I'm asking these questions. I know your answers. Your mouth should be like this guy right here, like, what? Oh my God, I'm losing 25%. Because we all want to make the phone ring more. We got to get more caregivers. But these processes are so important. And I want you to know, like, I'm sharing this with you. I'm a business owner, right? I have a 7-figure-a-year business, multi-million-dollar company, right? And so I do this. In January, February, March of this year, the first quarter of this year, I did an internal investigation audit of myself. And I looked at our inquiries. I spent the entire first quarter focusing on our inquiry process. I spent the entire second quarter of this year focusing on our conversion ratios and getting them to where they should be. And now we're converting consistently month after month, 40 to 50% of the inquiries every single month. That is exactly what I wanted. Now I'm focusing on client retention and quality assurance for the next quarter. You should always be doing this. If this is high-level stuff, I'm a CEO. You're a CEO. I'm the president. You're the president. These are things that you should be doing, owners. And if you're not, you're losing 25%, and that is why you should be at the boot camp, the 8th and 9th of November. Some of the people on this call have been to boot camps. Most of you haven't. And every time I'll catch the next one, or when are you coming to my town? Why would you wait until next year or the year after for me to come to you when you can hop on a plane for $300 or $400 and fly to a 2-day event and get everything you need to go back and make significant difference in your business? $700 to learn how to do this, which could put $100,000, $200,000 in revenue in your pocket, that's not even a drop in the bucket. That is like, it's a joke how affordable that is. Take action, make that happen. And let me tell you about some of the people that I've helped do this, because this is what I love about this now is I have so many people I've helped. I already know what your future is if you move forward and you decide to do this. Pam here, who I absolutely love in Alabama, grew her business by 42%. 42%. 42% in 6 months, from January through July. 7 months, sorry. 42%. Would you like to grow your business by 42% in 7 months? Yeah. You got to take action and you got to do something about it. And this is me giving her the award for growing her business by 1,000+ weekly billable hours, which puts her in the $1 Million Club, right? Let me show you Caleb. This was a month ago in St. Louis at the boot camp. These are two people in my mastermind group. He's on stage. He's talking about his business. Samantha, absolutely love them. They gave me Omaha steaks yesterday in the mail. I got Omaha steaks. Thank you so much for sending that. As a thank you, because I've helped them change their lives. Because when they started with us, their business did $300,000 in its first year. And in 1 year with us, they did $1.3 million. They grew their business by $1 million in 1 year. 1 year. Unbelievable, right? This is Dawn. Dawn is also my mastermind group, and she's a former coaching client who became a mastermind, just like Caleb, right? Dawn's business tripled. Imagine, take what you're doing right now, what you did in the last 12 months, and triple it. That's what she did in 1 year, doing all the things that I'm talking about here, and a bunch of other stuff too. But she started by coming to the boot camp. I love Judah here. Judah's business is doing $6 million a year right now. When he started with me, they were doing nothing. Zero, $6 million over the course of 6 years' time, but still, it's $1 million growth a year over the course of 6 years. I have a video of him, which I'll play at the boot camp, when he talks about how the biggest change for him was the inquiry management and the closing, because he said he would sit down with patients beforehand, or he would talk to them on the phone, and he didn't know how to go through what things he needed to get, what hot buttons he had to hit to be able to convert, and that's how we scaled his business to $6 million a year. Let that resonate on you. $6 million a year in revenue, right? Several locations, but still, the processes that he learned from doing this, and this is me giving him an award at a boot camp. I think, Ty, you might have been at this boot camp. This was like 2 years ago, right? And so, again, the boot camp is November 8th and 9th, $600, $699 a ticket, all right? But I got something for you, all right? But before that, I want to tell you another client. This is my most successful client, all right? They came to the boot camp in February of 2015. They didn't even have their license yet. They didn't even have the business yet. They were thinking, do I want to get into home care? So they invested, you know what, it cost $699 to come to the boot camp, but this will give me everything I need to know to learn to see if I really want to do this business before I invest tens of thousands of dollars in opening the business. That's a pretty smart person, I think, right? He moved forward with us, he and his wife, Dan and Suzanne. Now, he asked me not to talk revenue, but he said I could talk hours. 2015, 16, 17, 18, 3.5, 4 years, they're billing out over 5,000 weekly billable hours. 5,000 weekly billable hours, $25 an hour, you can do the math yourself, right? 5,000 weekly billable hours in 3.5 years. Zero, didn't even have a business yet. Did everything, and it all starts with generating referrals, processes, and closing. Now, the reason why I'm talking about Dan and Suzanne is because at this boot camp, they're going to come up, and these are other people that I helped. I've helped plenty of other people do the same thing because I've been doing this for a very, very long time, all right? So I just showed you about 70 people, all right? Are you going to be my next success stories? Of course you're going to be. At this next boot camp, Dan is going to speak, and it's called The War Room 101, how he scaled his business from nothing to 5,000 plus weekly billable hours in under 4 years. That alone, forget all the topics. I'm going to do inquiry management. I'm going to do closing. I'm going to do social worker, why they refer, who they do, reasons for drop-by business. I got plenty of things. You're going to hear a lot from me. It's my event. For 2 days, I'm going to speak for about 9 hours of the 12 hours of presentations from me. All right? But Dan has 1 hour, and he's going to speak about how he scaled his business from zero to 5,000 plus weekly billable hours, how he handled all of the compliance issues, how he handled all of the staffing issues and the caregivers and the management and everything, referrals, everything on how to scale it. That alone is worth $799. But here's my my thank you for being on this webinar, because you're all still on here listening. So obviously you're following what I'm saying here. We have an early bird special. The early bird special ends on Friday. So that gives you the rest of today, tomorrow, and Friday. You have 2.5 days. You can save $200 and get the $700 ticket for $500. It's not $699. It's not $599. It's only $499 for the early bird special. You can call in my office. You can talk to them. We do package deals, but early bird is the lowest it'll be. So if you want to bring 3 people with you, which is a good idea, you get the early bird tickets, save some money, and then I'll see you at the boot camp, where I'm going to go over all of this stuff with you. All right. So, and the bigger reason why I do this, obviously, I mean, I'm doing okay. I want to grow my business, but I want to help you help them. All right. I don't just say this stuff. You look up the Institute for Dignity and Grace. All right. Why did I invest $25,000 of my own money to create the Institute for Dignity and Grace? I did it to help our seniors. All right. Every single senior these are our parents. These are our aunts. These are our uncles. These are our neighbors. These are our friends. These are going to be us one day. I'm 37 years old. I'll be 38 in November. I'll be 38 the week after the boot camp, so you can come blow out the candles with me, right? One day I'm going to need help. I hope that all of my life's work helping you help them will pay off, so that when I need help, there's going to be a good agency out there who knows what they're doing and is going to do it right. The better we are, the better our outcomes. The better our outcomes, the better our patients are going to be served. That's the mission. That's the vision. If you started this business, you want to make money, yes, but you want to help people. You love people. This will give you the opportunity to help more people and be better at it. That's why you need to come to the boot camp. So there you have it. All the information is right here for the details for the boot camp. And don't forget to call in the office, right, and get your inquiry sheet. Because I promised you that I was going to give you the inquiry sheet. So you could go ahead and call the office. They're ready for it. Tell them that you want the inquiry sheet, and they'll send it over to you and get your information. And I hope you got a lot out of this. I went 10 minutes over. I know I went a little bit long with the topics, but I went off topic, and I showed you some other stuff because it's important. I want you to be all right. So we have 3 people calling in right now. So keep calling in. If you get a busy signal, keep calling in, because we'll give you that inquiry sheet or whatever. But I know I went like 10 minutes over, and I appreciate you staying on with me here because it's important. This is what we do. I wanted to help you. I wanted to give you everything that you need so you can be able to say, you know what, I need to do this, and I need to look into that. I need to look at it. And if you don't go with me, it's fine. Like I don't care about that. All right. Get the help you need to get your business to where it needs to be so you can better help other people. And the reward, your business is the way that you want it to be, and you're not a slave to it, and you're not worried about covering payroll, and you're not worried about your bills and stuff. And you can live the American dream. You can pay your staff a little bit more. Maybe you can pay your caregivers more. You can do more things. When you have great resources in the right person's hands, you can do amazing things, right? Amazing things. So, thank you so much again for your time. God bless you. I love you. Call in, get your inquiry management sheet sent to you, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.